Alright, so today's FOMC minute meeting has been wrapped up. In this video, I'm going to go through everything you need to know. I'm going to start off in this article and then we will wrap up on some of the simpler points and tie everything in a neat bow. So just like we talked about earlier, what to expect from today's FOMC meeting. We already knew that the Fed embraced a massive hike over the past couple of months, 75 basis point increases amid fears of eroding inflation. Reading into this, we can see a deteriorating inflation situation and concern about lost faith in the Federal Reserve's power to make it better prompted US central bank officials to rally around an outsized interest rate increase and a firm restatement of its intent to get prices under control. Minutes of the June 14 to 15th policy meeting showed that data released in the days just prior to that meeting showed consumer inflation in May had accelerated to an annualized rate of 8.6%, defying the Fed's hopes that the pace of price increases had peaked in the spring. Like I've been saying before on my channel, we already know this. This is just reaffirming what we already know. Moving over to the next piece of data, we can see the result of this was the first 75 basis point increase, the largest increase since 1994, and the promise of more to come, with participants judging that an increase of 50 or 75 basis points would likely be appropriate at the next policy meeting later this month. This is personally what I am predicting as well. Another 75 basis point increase, which is going to be bad for the markets. Moving on, the group, in a show of unanimity that has erased typical fault lines between inflation, hawks and doves, noted a willingness to move interest rates as high as needed to bring inflation down to the Fed's 2% target. That's going to take a lot of increased interest rate hikes and a need to tell the public it was prepared to do so. Let's talk about the downside risks. So the minutes did not mention the risk of a recession outright, and in fact the Fed officials said that they thought data showed that the US GDP, also known as gross domestic product, was expanding in the current quarter with the job market still tight. But they acknowledged the risks were to the downside, and in particular that Fed policy could have a larger than anticipated impact. Investors such as myself believe that the Fed is going to approve another 75 basis point rate increase at the upcoming July 26th to 27th meeting as part of what has become a rapid shift in monetary policy, meaning in the next 3 weeks we're very, very likely to have the interest rate go up once again. So those were the main points. I read through basically all of this and I read through the official document, which was so boring, which is why I want to come out here and just give you a quick 5-minute video wrapping through everything you need to know, so you don't need to read through a 10,000 word essay that they wrote for this. So coming into summary, the Fed minutes participants at the June meeting concurred that inflation outlook had deteriorated, warranting a huge 75 basis point increase. This is basically saying what we already know, because of all the information that I just went through. That is why they increased the interest rates by 75 basis points. Fed officials recognized that policy could slow growth for a time. Fed minutes participants concurred as well that high inflation warranted restrictive interest rates, with possibility of more restrictive stances if inflation persists. Once again, people like myself have been calling for these interest rate hikes for months now, and once again I'm still calling for another interest rate hike. Before we do head over to the next one, I have been talking about this on my channel as well, but if you do head over to the CME, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange futures, you will see, if you type in FOMC CME, it will talk about the Chicago Mercantile Exchange and how they're predicting another 100% likelihood of another interest rate hike. And I do have to believe them, just like I have in the past couple of meetings. They have been bang on the spot. Moving on, Fed officials saw 50 basis point or a 75 basis point hike at July FOMC meeting as very, very likely. Many on the FOMC saw significant risk of entrenched inflation. Fed minutes, even more restrictive policy is possible in time. And once again, just like we've been talking about with Jerome Powell's goal of decreasing the inflation down to 2%, subsequently battling high inflation with high interest rates. It's going to take a lot more interest rate hikes to push inflation down to 2%. I really think it could take a very, very long time. So wrapping up the video, I would definitely like to give credit where credit's due. Head over to investing.com over on Twitter, investing.com. I follow them myself. They do post tons of this useful information that breaks down everything you need to know in the markets in a clear and concise manner. So like myself, you do not have to go through the entirety of the report. We talked about in depth everything you need to know about the FOMC meeting, everything that has occurred and probably will be likely to concur in the next FOMC meeting. Wrapping up this video, if you do want to follow me over on Twitter, as I have pulled this up multiple times over in this video, be sure to head over to @618_cowboy. If you don't want to type that in, you will find in the link down below, I do have my Twitter and I do have my Discord links. If you want to follow me over on Twitter, be sure to head over to here now. If you do want to join the Cowboy community over on Discord, we've got over 800 members over on the Discord, so I definitely recommend that you come and join the family. With that being said, my friends, that is all I've got for today's update. I'm looking forward to the next FOMC meeting that will be panning out in the next 21 days. It's definitely going to be an interesting time for the economy and the stock and crypto markets. As always, that's all I've got for you today. Cowboy out. Peace.